What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I want to take a look at Roku stock and show you guys a couple things in the chart and why exactly I'm going to be following this stock for a long bias trade here probably in this following week. So let's get into sharing the screen, shall we? So here we are. This is Roku stock. I'm going to zoom in over the past couple weeks and we're going to take a look at some couple other things. So you can see over the past week, Roku stock has really been beaten down. So this comes due to the fact that the streaming service is becoming more and more competitive. We've seen Disney launch their streaming service, and now we're seeing that Apple is trying to get themselves more involved within the streaming service as well. And of course, you have Netflix, and you have Hulu, and you have Sling TV, and you have Xfinity, and you got Amazon. So you have a lot of different companies all with their hands in the cookie jar. But again, that's to be expected with a very successful business like the streaming industry. So as we can see, a lot of people have been moving into the streaming industry, so it's no surprise that it's getting more competitive. On top of that, we have seen Roku stock price pretty much just get crushed over the past couple days. Again, going from $176 all the way down to about $100. So what's very important to understand here or to pay attention to is the most recent earnings report that Roku had. If you look at the most recent earnings report Roku had, which was right here, you could see we had this big jump in price action, and from there we continued higher shortly until we started to get crushed. Now, we will note that another reason Roku's share price is falling so significantly is because a company, Pivotal Research, has given it a sell rating or a price target of $60 per share. Meanwhile, most other people have been giving it price targets of about 150, 160, 180, 120, etc. Then comes along Pivotal Research to add on some more selling pressure with a price target of $60, okay? So we've seen the price come down, and again, stating what's very important here is if you look back to their most previous earnings report, you can see the price jumps up pretty significantly, but what we're paying attention to is this here gap in the chart, okay? You can see that if we zoom in a little bit more, there's a clear gap here in this chart. You can literally see there's a gap. There's no candle there. That is because from the day the market closed overnight to the following morning, Roku's share price increased dramatically because of their earnings report. Now, if we look at the gap there, I mean, the gap, I believe, was probably 10 points or $10 per share. So we got a gap of 117 to about 100. So yeah, it was about a $10 gap, maybe $12 gap up. So the important thing to note is that this gap here was open. If we go across, you can now see that gap has been filled completely. Now, on Friday, I didn't expect that Roku was going to decline far enough to get down to fill the gap. If so, I would have, again, probably been trading or entering some positions on Friday. But, again, I missed it. So, why I'm making this video is because it's important to note that when things like Roku or stocks make moves like Roku has where they drop about $80 per share, there's a good chance we're going to see a bounce. Then the question comes, at what point are we going to see the bounce? Well, just so you know, 90% of all gaps, you can see the gap there, right? 90% of all gaps in a stock chart get filled. And after they get filled, they tend to reverse. So again, if the gap was to the upside and we've seen the stock shoot up and fill the gap, it would most likely start to fall shortly thereafter. Whereas, again, if a stock gaps down, if a stock gaps up and price action comes down, fills that gap, we will usually get a bounce. So there's a couple important things to note here. First, I would state it's the gap fill. We've seen Roku fill its gap, so there's a good chance we're going to be seeing it start to bounce over the next couple days or week. Next thing to point out is that the $100 mark, which is right here, is a very significant mental support area. It's a completely whole dollar mark of 100. So just alone, the psychology aspect of trading notices that $100 is going to be a significant support zone, usually. All right. Now, there's another one thing I'm going to point out, and that is a long-term trend. If we go back to the low point here at 26, and we cross through this high or higher low right about there, you will see that we are very close to this long-term trend. So there's a couple things. We have the gap fill. We have the 100 mental support area here, again, $100 mark. And then we also have this long-term trend line that could play a little bit of a role here in providing some support into Roku stock. So I'd say over the next couple days to weeks that it's very wise to keep an eye on Roku for a bounce, because we know that a lot of people have been short selling this move down. And when we start to see some buyers come in on the stock, there's a good chance that we're going to be seeing a short squeeze along with the dip buy, which will cause a move back up. So I think it's a pretty good assumption we're going to be seeing Roku as a pretty active stock over the next couple days to next couple weeks, as it has been. But now that we've moved down about $80 off the highs into the gap fill location, into the $100 support, into the long-term trend zone, I think we're looking at a dip buy here on Roku, or at least a short-term dip buy. Okay, we also could be looking at a dead cat bounce, which basically means stock bounces, then it rolls back over and never truly gains its traction back upwards. But we can notice that we do have a sort of a strong trend starting from here, bouncing, holding here, and now we're coming into that same location right after a big important gap fill into support. I think we're looking at a bounce trade coming here on Roku. So I want to make this video here, even though it's Sunday night, a little bit later in the evening, and that is because hopefully some of you guys will have time to watch this before the market opens tomorrow, and maybe you'll have a little bit more of an informed research or more informed guess or estimate, prediction, whatever you want to call it, on Roku stock going into next week's trading session. So I hope everybody enjoys the video. I hope you learned something new. And as always, thumbs up the video, share it with a friend so they can learn too, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Everybody, take care.